Okay, this is Sean, and I am back with part two of the menu tutorial. Now, I just did this for 45 minutes and realized the mic wasn't going, so here we go again, part two of part two. So, on the last menu tutorial, we looked at various items down this right-hand side of the top right-hand menu. We had the character screen, inventory, etc., etc. And we started looking at the duty officers. So we'll go back here and we actually looked at the roster and sending people out on awaiting missions. And we got to Admiralty. So I'm not quite sure where we ended here. So basically what we're going to do in this screen here, we can send our ships out on various missions, United Federation ones, Klingon ones, Romulan, Ferengi. Each one of these has an option for tour of duties, which we should be aiming for, because tour of duties gives us some good bonus stuff. For instance, Ferengi will give us 30,000 dilithium for every 10 tour of duties completed. Romulans, which is my favourite ones to do, gives us 4 universal tech upgrades. And we will look at upgrading our gear at a later date. We briefly looked at it in the last tutorial. We're not of a level yet to worry about that, but we could certainly do with the upgrades. So in order to send your ships out, you have a ship's roster. Now, I have 34 ships. You might start off with 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll get ships as you go along, as you rank up, once you have the ability to do this. And these are all the ships that you can actually send out on missions. In order to do a mission, you click on the type of mission you want, depending on your rewards. And this is where you plan your mission. Now, we'll take the top one, which is Patrol New Romulus. The rewards here, as you see, if we put our cursor over it, says it's a special item. It could be anything. It's normally to do with your ship, because it's shipborne missions. You get some campaign points and expertise points. Your campaign points are what are important over here, because I'm on level 10, which is as high as you can go, but you'll start off on level 1. Now, as I said in the last menu tutorial, I'm using this high level character to show you, because the options aren't all available on the beginner's toons or characters, and I want to take you through the menus, and you'll see options will become available to you in due course. So, for instance, we're going to send some ships on a Romulan mission. This tells us the rewards. Here it tells you what you require. We need some engineering, tactical, and sci-fi skills. Each mission has its own amount of skill points needed. So, for instance, this top one, we'll go to plan the mission. This screen here tells us what we need. It's not always exactly the same as the other screen. As you can see, sometimes the other screen will say you need 20 sci-fi, and here it'll tell you need 150. So don't take everything as read. Well, this is the important screen when you come in. The slotted screen tells you what you have used by assigning certain ships, or what skills you've got. So at the top right here, it tells you your success rate. You're either going to succeed, or you're going to get a critical success, or you're going to fail. But critical success in this section of the game actually doesn't mean anything. You don't get any higher rewards, nothing special happens, just makes you feel good. So you're aiming to get this bar here to go up to 100%. If it's less than 85, I wouldn't even bother starting the mission unless you're feeling really lucky. So to choose a ship, you can have up to three ships at any one time. So we will go select. Now we're looking to get 20 tech, 10 engineering and 10 science. That's not very high. On this screen where it shows the choice of ships, we can scroll down. And as we scroll down, we will see these numbers increase or decrease depending on the career we are looking at. So for instance, when you start off, engineering is quite high, sci-fi science is quite low there, and as you get to the bottom, the science ones on the right numbers go up and the engineering go down, and somewhere in the middle, tactical. So you're looking for a balance, but the first one we're only looking for 20 tac, 10 and 10 on the others. So we can go down to the smaller numbers. Tactical is the highest number, so we're going to look for that first. We can have up to 10 ships, 3 ships, as I said. But if we look here, tac is only 12. It's not enough. The one underneath tac is 20, which is perfect. We've also got big enough figures to fill in the other gaps. You can actually come down a little bit more and bring the other figures down a little bit if you like. You could go for 2 smaller ships, which I'll do for this demonstration. So for instance, let's say we go for a support cruiser, which has a 10 for our tac. We go in there, it shows us we have filled the engineering and the science slots. We still need 10 more for tactical, so we choose another ship. We could go straight for we could go for a 6 and a 4, we can go for a 9 and a 1, or we can just go for an 11. And that 11 added to our 10 will make 21. And we've fulfilled our needs. Now you can play around with them. So for instance, here we're 41 points over. In the scheme of things, when you're doing a lot of missions, it doesn't make too much difference, but sometimes you might want to adjust that so you've got enough skill points left for another mission. So to begin your mission with your ships, you don't need all 3, just enough to make all these yellow. Click begin, and your ship is off on its mission. Missions can take various times, hour and 30, 15 minutes, sometimes hours and hours. But once they're off on their merry way, just leave them to do their thing. You can click on progress, and it'll show you what ships are on what missions. You can view the details, and it'll just give you a summary of what you did, what you're going to win. Once a mission has been completed, it'll say here collect the reward, or it will be in red and say fail if you failed. And you can fail if you, as I say, if you don't get your points to a minimum of 85, there's a good chance you're going to fail. But play the game. If it's not detrimental to your gameplay. So if you've got, say, you can only reach that 80% mark or even 70, you may as well send your ships out as not send them out. If you complete it, get the reward. Rewards go into your inventory, which we looked at yesterday, and they're there to be used. Sometimes they are just energy credits, which is our main currency, which we need to get. And you get campaign reward points, 714 here. Now, down on this left-hand side, you can see these are all level 10 types. You will start off at level 1. So by getting the campaign XP, that will progress you up to the top. It takes quite a while to get to level 10. It's 200,000 points. Here we're only getting 700-ish. So just keep plugging away. These are things you need to do every day. It only takes a few minutes to push the buttons, but every day, because you want to pump these numbers up, because you want to get bigger and better rewards. And experience points, as you can see, is the green arrowish icon down the bottom. Experience points are really, really necessary to progress your career. We will look at how to spend experience points and what they do at a later date. So that is sending your ships out. If there's a mission you don't want to do, you can pass it. If you pass the mission, it goes out of your mission list and a new one will replace it. You can only pass so many times. You can win pass tokens in lockboxes, or you can buy them or whatever. But pretty much, if you know you're going to fail a mission and it's the only mission you can do, you may as well get it out of the way. R&D is our next box. R&D is your crafting system in other games. It's where you can make things, learn how to make things. For instance, over here we have levels 1 to 20. My cannons is only level 1 because I don't really use cannons. My beams are level 20. So again, as you progress, for instance, cannons, let's say we want to make some cannons. We'll click on cannons and we'll get an option to make things here, which I can't do because I've already used that before. So we'll go down to try and find something we can do. And we can't, so my apologies for that, because I actually used those slots up when I did the first version of this part 2, and I have to wait for one of these missions to finish. Oh look, here's one here. So if I collect rewards, I should be able to go back in. There we go. So when you click on each item, beams, cannons, engineering, whatever, you get various things you can make and do. Near the bottom, there are components. You need components to make stuff. Once you've made an item, for instance, I'm going to make some couplings. If I click on begin, it tells me that I need a duty officer. It's auto-selected this one. I can actually click this button to change the officer sometimes. There's only one guy who can do this, so I only have him to use. But if you get a choice, always go for your highest ranking officer, because above here it tells you what kind of equipment you're going to get. Whether it's critical or success will determine the quality as well. And when you're making an actual cannon, that's quite important. So down here tells us the components we need, what it costs. These are the things we saw in our inventory in the last video. When you use these items, they disappear from here or the numbers go down. So here we can put in catalyst. Catalyst will make an item better or allow you to do various things. If you click on it, you can add catalysts. It adds points and ratings and generally upgrade your equipment. I'm not going to do it here because that would be a waste. When you're ready to start the mission, click start, and off he goes to make your couplings. You can finish it by spending dilithium crystals on it, but it depends how much of a rush you are to get to 20. On the lower level stuff, don't worry, it's only a few seconds. You click, you get rewards, and we go on to building the next thing. Now we've got a filter. Filters are important because if you show all tasks, you'll see some are red. Red means you cannot make that equipment. So in my mind, there's not a lot of points showing that at this stage, unless you want to find out what you need. So if you click on show with met requirements, you can make all of this stuff pretty much. Let's say we're going to make a cannon. There's a drop down box here. We can choose a level to make. Now, just because it was available in the other screen, that means it's available at a certain level. If I want to click on 12 and confirm it, you'll see there's some red items here. That means we cannot make this particular item. We're missing some parts. So if you're missing some parts, you can actually click on it and it will allow you to make those parts. It will tell you what it's going to cost. Also, you need to assign a officer. If there's nothing here, it means all your officers that can create this particular component are busy, so you're not going to be able to do it. But usually you'll be able to put a duty officer in here, click start, it'll make that component. Now if I go back and we do something, let's say a very basic cannon, which shouldn't be an issue for us. Here you can see it tells us the components, it tells us who's going to do it. You can click on select and you can see there are different quality officers, purple being the highest. Now notice at the top, when we make this cannon, we can make a very rare cannon, a rare one, uncommon or common. The bar shows the likelihood. So here we've got a bigger percentage likelihood of getting a rare item to a very rare. Now you'll notice if I choose a lesser quality officer, those bars change. So it's important to use your highest quality officers to get the best quality gear. The best quality gear is worth more. Now, as I say, you can add some components. You probably won't have any for quite a while. You have to earn them in game, or you can buy them, or eventually you can create them. So if you want to start the test, the making of the cannon, down the bottom it tells you how much XP you're going to earn, which is 50, and the duration. Now, better quality equipment when you're going for level 12, which is the highest level you can actually make without upgrading, which we will deal with at a later date. The more XP you'll get. XP, as I said, we need to go from level 1s to level 20s to get better quality gear. So click start and your officer is off now making some dual cannons for you. And so R&D, basically you will choose different categories, make different things. You may do what I did, which was initially I said I want to use beams on my ships. I want high level beams and I don't want to keep buying them or hoping to find them, so I'm going to make my own. Also, making your own allows you to sell them on the exchange for more energy credits, and you can then amass a good amount of money to buy even better equipment. So, for instance, if I make an energy beam weapon and I sell it for 50,000, my energy credits will go up by 50,000. I have 42 million at the moment, sorry, 49 million, which sounds a lot, but it's not really. But it will buy me some good gear. But if you want to buy top-end gear, like the top-end specialist ships that I showed you in the C store, some of this stuff here will actually eventually appear on the exchange or the market, if you want to call it that, and you'll be able to buy it, but you'll be looking at several hundred million. So during the game, make sure you amass energy credits where you can. You get them for playing the game, you get them for selling, you get them for salvaging equipment that we looked at in the last tutorial. Very important. So that is this screen. Apart from down the bottom, we have officer training, which I will show you at a later date. And we also have specialist projects. Now, officer training will allow you to create manuals to train your officer. So as we looked at in one of the early parts of the last tutorial. When we open our character menu, we have our crew down here. If we click on a crew member and skills, you'll see stuff they know and stuff they don't know. So for instance, if I want to train this particular officer in beams fire at will, they need to learn it. And in order to learn it, I need to get a manual of that title. So the manual will say manual beams fire at will. Once I have that manual, this light will go white and I can click on it and this officer can learn that skill. And you need to upskill your officers all the time because you want them to have the best skills, the best weapon firing options and other things like that. We did look at all of this in part 1 of menu options, so I won't do that again. But in this screen, this is where you can make the manuals. Now, everything you can make, you can buy. Everything you can make, you can sell. And we will look at that next time. So when we move along to the next screen, this is your dilithium store. Now, down the bottom here, it tells you how much dilithium you have, and this is refined. So when we go into our asset screen, as we looked at in the last tutorial, we need to refine our dilithium. I've got nearly 2 million, but it's no use to me until I refine it. We did that yesterday. So I've got 17,000, which shows up down the bottom here. So you can come in here and you can buy things with your crystals. Everything's red here because I can't, because you need to save up some more points. Also in here there is a reclaim item, reclaim menu, where you can reclaim stuff that you may have had before and deliberately or decided you didn't want to use. You can come back in here and reclaim it. These are consoles. There's a warp core. So yeah, if you accidentally delete stuff, sometimes you'll be able to get it back. There's lots of options here of different types of things you can buy, depending on your chosen career and again the amount of dilithium you have and your level. This button here, the C store, I briefly showed you a few seconds ago that you could use energy credits to buy stuff on the exchange or in the market, but you can actually go ahead and buy stuff. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, it's a free-to-play game, why should I spend some money? Well, hundreds of thousands of man-hours have been put into creating this game over a decade. You're playing it, you're having fun, those people need paying. So I'm not your mother, but sometimes you need to put your hand in your pocket. You can actually buy some Zen. When you buy some Zen, by clicking on this button here and following the screens through, which I'm not going to deal with right now. Back to game. For a relatively small amount of real life dollars, you can buy quite a lot of these Zen coins and spend. Down the bottom left, it tells you how many you've got. I've only got 98 at the moment because I've spent everything I had, because that's what you do when you get some Zen. Anyways, you have options down here. There's a new tab, but all the options of things you can buy are listed under these categories. For instance, featured. One thing you will need to buy possibly along the way if you want to play a little bit of gambling is a master key pack, or a single master key to find out how it works. Now, master keys open lock boxes, and you will pick up lock boxes on your travels, you will pick up a lot of lock boxes, but each one is random, and you may or may not get something worth it inside. You may get an absolutely mega ship, or you may just get just a few items that are no use to man nor beast. So, for instance, here we have some emerald chain lock boxes. It says there the box contains random items, and you must have a key to open it. If I right click and choose more details, it tells me all the things I might be able to get. Like I might get a really good ship, a Juggernaut. I might not. I might get some of this stuff. I might not. So it's a gamble. You pay your money, you take your chance. Sometimes it's really, really worth it. And sometimes it's just fun. It's like all your Christmases coming at one time. So there are various things you can buy. Sometimes the stuff on sale. Mud's Market can contain some interesting stuff. For instance, you may want, when you're able to get a combat pet. Now, be careful when you're buying a pet. Make sure it says combat in front. If you just buy a pet, it won't do anything, and it'll just follow you around. If you buy a combat pet, for instance, this one, this Elachi Walker, it will wander around killing enemies for you. They can be really useful if you're under pressure. They become a target for some of the enemy, and it really relieves the pressure on you when you're in a bad situation on your own. There are various ones you can get. You can get other equipment. Now, this sort of stuff you won't just find in world. You won't stumble across it. You won't earn it. You need to buy it. So if you want to look a little bit different, you need to buy your own stuff. But you can go through here, new items, starter packs, which are basically a bit of a booster when you start. You probably don't need them, but if you want a little bit of a better weapon or whatever, you can, for instance, here you've got a warbird or whatever, you can actually buy a little boost to start off. I personally wouldn't, but you can do. Expansion packs, packs full of items to enhance your game. For instance, this one has some uniforms, it has a combat pet, it has 3 starships in it. This particular one down the bottom I love. It's a brilliant ship to fly and to use. But again, it's personal choice. You can get ship bundles where you can get lots of different ships all at the same time. If you like to chop and change your ships, you probably don't want to do that in the beginning because you're naturally going to progress through the levels and you will be given starships. These ones can be slightly different. Ships that are not part of the normal options that you are given. Here you can buy individual ships. Again, these are ships that you will not necessarily find just in game. You may win them in a lockbox with a master key. But if you want to be a little bit different, you can come in and buy your own ship. A lot of these are available to me because I bought them previously. Sometimes you might get some freebies in here. Sometimes you might not. You can buy duty officer packs, which will generally be better than the officers you already have. Personal choice again. Duty officers you don't physically see, so you need to buy them because they do various missions better or have better skills and you get better rewards. If you've seen Lower Decks, which is a comedy cartoon that takes off at Star Trek, you can actually get the characters for your duty officers. They can be quite fun. Various other options, as I say, You might want to buy one master key just to try a lockbox. If you're going to do it fairly often, get the packs of 10. And there's other things you can buy, uniforms, to personalize your crew. So when you're on away missions and there's other players there, you'll look a little bit different and stand out from the crowd. Now here, for instance, here's a combat pet I love. This is my tardigrade, and I'll let him go and he'll just wander around eating everyone. It's quite fun sometimes just to watch him go on his merry little way. Promotions sometimes, there's some cheap stuff and sometimes free stuff, but basically the promotions tab is sometimes online. If you're a member of a certain Facebook group or MeWe group or Reddit, someone will put in some links of how to get freebies. They're generally tied up with big companies, and you subscribe to their junk mail, which is fine because you can delete the junk mail and keep the wonderful stuff that you get, and it can be really worth it. And it can be a variety of things. See here, there's giveaways. Some of these is anniversary giveaways that the game will give you. Sometimes you will get stuff from these junk emails, but definitely sign up for some when you see them. I will attempt to put in links as I find them on my YouTubes, or when I work out how to do it on Twitch, I might even paste them into the game as we're playing, or I'll get my mod to do that. You can get your own Borg bridge officer as well. So basically, this is where you spend your money if you want to. As I say, I'm not your mother, but let's keep this game going. Let's give them a few bucks every now and again, or more. If you're enjoying the game, pay for the game. Next up, this next menu is your mission journal. This is very important. When you go into here, this tells you all the missions you can do, all the missions you're doing, how you progressed, and it also has your storylines or story arcs, as most people refer to them. So the first screen here is just almost a splash screen of some things that are going on at the moment that you see in other screens. Could be a shortcut if you want to do some of this stuff. But your event screen, here we'll go top to bottom. Running at the moment is the 12th anniversary event. Now, events are like daily missions. You have to complete a certain amount of them in a certain amount of time or days. Now, for instance, this particular one, the 12th anniversary one, down the bottom here, it shows you your reward, which is a nice Jarek carrier to add to your ships. A lot of the time, these are going to be ships you cannot get anywhere else. It tells me here my daily requirements. So I've completed 2 of 2 because I've already done this morning, which was on a previous video. And it tells me how long I've got before I can do it again. So once a day, you can complete a daily mission. And the target here, I've done 22 out of 40. You need to do 40 to get your reward. Once you've completed your 40, you'll get your ship. But also, if you carry on, you'll get bonus points or more dilithium as you keep carrying on these missions until the actual event ends, if you wish to do that. Here, again, it tells you about what you're going to get, what sort of ship it is, all the various skill points. And we will look at that in another tutorial when we go on to the Starbase to get our ship, which is coming up, possibly the next video I'm going to do. So we won't worry about this screen just yet. Now, the missions you can do are listed here. This particular one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 particular missions, which means to do 40, you're going to have to do some of them more than once. You can do all of them and then all of them again, or you can choose a mission you really like that you scoot through really quick and just do that 20 times, because this particular mission is worth 2 points. If you do this mission here, it's only worth 1 point, and that's because it only takes half as long to do, or is not so involved, or for whatever reason it's a bit easier. So go for the higher points, just to make sure you get up to your 40 or whatever that number is really quick. So you can choose, when it says play now next to a mission, you're going to play that on your own. If there's a join TFO, which is Task Force Operations, you're going to play that with another team, usually teams of 5 players, including yourself. And that's the same as we looked at this TFO screen over here, where you can pick missions to play. It becomes one of these, and this mission will actually be in this screen somewhere, but in order to complete it for your event, you want to access it through here. So different campaigns come out. I think there's something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a year, or 5 in a period, maybe 6 months, I can't remember. So your progress will tell you how close you are to getting all the rewards. The campaign rewards are quite substantial, like they're really worth it. And it means doing these daily missions every day until you've reached your target number, and then you'll get a little thing that says completed over it. These have actually ended, so we cannot play these missions. This was the last set of missions in which we won these rewards. And a new set will no doubt start very soon, and they will progress step, step, step until it's all finished, and then you get your final reward. Sometimes there are special events. There's winter ones and summer ones, usually on Riser, sometimes on Q's Winter Wonderland World. They can be quite fun. One of the missions here was to shoot snowmans and skiing and all sorts of stuff. They're kind of just fun missions that are not really about killing the enemy as such, as just having fun. This mission is ended, or Winter Wonderland had ended, so we can't do it. If you did all 20 of them, you'd win a special starship, just like any other campaign. The one thing I haven't pointed out is it says buyout here. If you're on an event campaign and it says buyout, this is used for if, for instance, you've managed to do 30 or 38 of the missions and the daily requirement thing can no longer be completed because it's over, you can actually buy out the missions or the numbers you missed. Now, it all depends on how many missions you completed. If you've only done 20, it'll cost you a lot more than if you've done 38. So here it tells us how much it's going to cost us to buy that out. I can't do a buyout because I've done the mission. But anyway, it's easy. Just come in every single day. Make sure you do your daily missions. The first thing you do, make sure you refine your dilithium. The first thing you do, and make sure you also do your R&D and send your duty officers and ships off. This should be daily. It's pretty much button pushing, but you want the rewards. If you don't do it daily to get up to level 10 here, it will take you forever. If you do it daily, it's really quick. So the next screen is episodes. Now, episodes are your story arc or your story lines. Now, these are important. When you start off, you'll start from top to bottom. More are added as the producers of the game make more content, but you need to run through each storyline from the Klingon, Romulan, Cardassian, etc. Now, each storyline or story arc is a complete story. Imagine it's a TV series. You're going to start off at episode 1, episode 2, etc., until you reach your final goal. Once you've done a mission, some missions can be replayed. You can do them again. They become what's called holodeck missions, but you still get rewards and points for doing them, although they are lesser rewards than you would have got the first time you did them. The higher level you're at, the higher level rewards you will get. So, for instance, here we're going to do this in our next tutorial. We go to Earth Space Dock. They send us on a diplomatic mission, etc., etc. And they get harder as you go along. The first couple are really quite easy. So what you can do is you can, if you want to do a mission that you've already done, you can click on replay.
Received another recording, and I think
it tells you what the mission is and what your rewards are going to be.
Follow up and track
I'm just going to decline that because we are going to look at the missions in a later tutorial, and we're going through every single story arc from start to finish, because this is how you progress. This is how you get more XP points, energy credits to spend, how you progress from your lowly lieutenant rank to rear admiral. And again, it's the story. It's why we're here. Don't rush your way through. Don't skip missions. It's all part of your immersed experience, if you like. Next, we have available. Available are missions you can do every day. They're not really part of the story arcs. They can help you get experience points, make your character stronger, so that when you're doing your episodes, if you've done some of these missions, you will actually be a lot stronger than you'd be without doing them. You don't have to. You shouldn't need to do these, but to progress in the story arcs. But in order to have a lot of fun, to get more XP, to get more experience, please do them. One of the things you'll hear people say is, I'm bored, I've got nothing to do. Well, there's about 50 missions here that they probably haven't done because they haven't clicked on this tab. Some of these missions you will get asked to do as you go from system to system. Someone will pop up and say, oh, I've got a mission for you. And these are what's called side missions. Do your side missions, get the rewards, get your character strength up. Don't not do them. Don't just do the story arcs, because you'll find that if you have that little bit more character development going on, the mission will be a little bit more easier for you. In progress, well, this is the one that says, as it says, in progress. These are the missions you're doing. I've got a lot here because this is a high-level character. As I said in the last tutorial, I'm using this character to show you all the menus because they may not have anything in them at the lower end toon. So this is just so you can see what goes on. When you start off, you probably won't have much here at all. One of the benefits of having missions in here is to cheat. And when I say cheat, not in a way of completing the game, but it's a little cheat from jumping from area to area. For instance, we're going to look at transwarp shortly. And transwarp allows you to go from quadrant to quadrant really quickly. But you can only use it once in a certain amount of time. And sometimes you may have a mission where you need to hop to the next quadrant. You can't transwarp. So if you keep these missions up here, you may get an option to jump straight to the next mission, or to say you have an endeavor that is to use a phaser gun on a planet to rack up phaser hit points. If you've gone to a certain planet and say you need 5,000 hit points, if you choose it from an old episode and put it in here, when you're at the stage where you're shooting the enemy and you've got your 5,000 hit points, get to a safe place, beam out, it'll tell you you're going to lose your mission accomplishments, which is fine, and you can leave it here. So the next time you need to use a phaser on the ground, you can quickly go to that mission and go, hey, this is where I can use my phaser to get lots of hits. So again, with episodes, if you choose one like here and replay it, it'll give you an option when you have the ability to transwarp to where that mission is. It's a good way of skipping from quadrant to quadrant when your transwarp has already been used. Your progress will also tell you how far into a mission you are. For instance, this one here, there's little ticks, little blue ticks that says I've completed 2 parts of this mission. I've got a 3rd one to go. It tells me what that is, and it tells me the rewards. We'll look more at how to do missions in the next tutorial when we go off and do some. The next screen, accolades. If you like getting medals and stuff, you can come in here and look at all the pretties. This is a natural progression. When you do things, you will get points, and it will increase the medals or accolades you get. If you're kind of like to get deeper into the game and to decide which ones you want to get, you can actually go in here. He says trying to find one, he hasn't got all of them, and say, oh, right here. So for instance, in Recruiter, I've only got 2 levels here. Say I really want to get a 3rd one, I'll do missions or events or tasks that involve recruiting people in order to get some more points to get this medal. So I can actually say, for instance, medical, I may need to do some more medical stuff to get some more medical points. So in my missions or my duty officers, I will tell them to do medical stuff. Logs, again, if you want a deeply immersed experience, you can go into logs. You can read about things you've done, who you've spoken to, but you have a captain's log. Now, the captain's log, again, is about the missions you've done. But one thing that some people like to do is you can make your own entries, or you can add to entries. But if you make your own entry, just like in the TV show, you could say, give it a title, and I will call it Menu Tutorial P2, and underneath I can say so I'm just a man, I can't talk and type at the same time, but created a menu tutorial part 2 for Twitch TV. Save it, and there it is. So yeah, if you want to do that, you can do. It depends on your immersive experience. I've never used this before, but people do. Maybe I'll use it again. So that is that screen there, which was your mission journal. So your mission journal is where you find missions you can do, you accept missions, you follow story arcs, and you can find out your progression and your rewards. The next one up is grayed out because we can't do it in open space, which is scan area. We will look at that shortly. Scan area, if you're in a system, you can scan for materials to collect. You can scan to find out in which direction you're supposed to go, things like that. The same on the ground. If you're in a ground mission, you can scan to find out drop boxes, or again, directions you wish to go, etc. And we will look at that when we're actually doing that kind of a mission. The next one up is your transwarp. Remember, I just told you how to cheat. Is it cheating? Only in your mind. So transwarp allows you to go very, very quickly to various places, whether it's another quadrant, whether it's to Deep Space Nine. You could be on one end or side of Alpha Quadrant and want to get to Deep Space Nine very quickly, and other things here. When you start off, you will eventually be able to transwarp. Not in the beginning. You may get to go to 2 or 3 places. Once you've gone through your story arcs and you've been somewhere or you need to go somewhere, it will be added to this list. As you can see, I have a long list on this character. I won't have that on the tutorial toon we are using, which is why I'm in this high level character at the moment, so we can go through these menus. So for instance, if we wanted to go from Alpha Quadrant to the Beta Quadrant, we would just say, hey, we want to go to Beta. You can choose various parts of the sector you want to go to, as long as you remember where the planets are. So for instance, if I wanted to do Winter Wonderland events and it was still on, I may want to go to Risa, and I click on that and click transwarp. Off she goes. Sometimes the system can be buggy. I have found that you cannot transwarp from Beta to Alpha, but you can go from Alpha to Beta. Also, now you'll notice there's a countdown, so we can't use it. When you first start off, I think the countdown could be 30 minutes or an hour. I'm at a level where it's only 14 minutes. You can actually work your way up to being able to get that figure right down by using skills and stuff. As you can see, we're at Risa, which is where we aim to go. So a very quick way of going to your mission point. At the top here, we have Depart System. Now we can't do it in open space because we're already here. If we are actually in a system, we can use this button to come back into open space. So that is the bulk menu on the top right hand side, the place you're going to be using menus most of the time. It's where everything happens, everything's done, and you're told about everything. So we'll continue down this right hand side. Here you've got a list of your missions. This is what you're doing. The more missions you have in progress, the more missions are down here. So it's just a list of missions you are actually haven't completed. If we click on this icon on the right hand side, it opens our journal, takes us to the screen of that particular mission and tells us what we need to do. If we click on the right hand side here and it's available, we can actually transwarp to that mission. So it's another way of moving around really quickly. So if you want to say go to a particular area and this mission is in that area, you can cheat by using this button here. Again, is it cheating? No, I don't think so. It saves a lot of time and a lot of frustration of moving very slowly across a quadrant because you need to go somewhere else. We'll deal with down the bottom shortly, but there's a lot of stuff here. So what I want to do is just go along the top. Here at the very top of the screen, you can see grey bars and gold bars. They're basically your progress towards your next rank. So you'll see these bars go along. It doesn't really do anything apart from make you feel good, but it's there. Now, depending on your HUD layout, if you've got it very similar to mine or default, it will look a little bit like this. So you'll have various things on the screen. But the one thing to note is this endeavors. Endeavors are things you need to do daily or within a certain amount of time. You can see here the clock is ticking. I've got 10 hours, 46 minutes to complete all of these missions. Destroy some Herc frigates, defeat some Borg on the ground, use Tetrion damage in space. When you do that, you end up with Endeavor points. Endeavor points, again, you want to look at fairly often because they give you bonuses. So if I click on here, it brings up the Endeavor screen. It tells me how many points I've got to spend. I don't have any today because we spent them when I did yesterday's tutorial. And you can see your progress. For instance, here in space, I've got a 26% bonus, energy weapons, 18% bonus, crit or critical hit on the ground. Again, various things. And this comes down to your games play. You'll top out eventually to how many points you can spend. You can't get all this up to 100% on the right hand side, I don't believe, but we will find out in the next 10 years, I suppose. Here it says what your missions are. You can find out what the rewards are, what sort of points you get. You can re-roll will actually give you a different mission. If I re-roll that, I've got 50 tokens, so I'm not bothered. That mission should change, and now it's destroy Voth ships. You can buy re-roll tokens. You can pretty much buy anything. You can buy it with dilithium, which you are amassing in your inventory, and that allows you to change these. So if you've got a mission up here you really hate or you really don't want to do, but you need to do 3 to get your Endeavor point, if you can, come and re-roll it and you'll get a different mission. It's very, very random. Usually these missions are not hard, but sometimes you'll get the same mission 4 times a week and you just want to poke your own eyes out. So don't do that. Come and have a re-roll, and then you get your Endeavor progression points. Sometimes you'll get, these are like universal or personal endeavors. Sometimes there'll be another one here which means everyone has to do the same mission. Personal ones are the ones you have to do, regardless of whether they're personal or universal. You have to do them to progress. My Twitch what would you call it, overlay is up here, so I can't see these other menus, but one is takes you back to the Zen store. I'll probably not try and explain them because I'm flying blind, as you can see there. Okay, so down the bottom, we'll go from left to right. because these are the main things that are going to be on your screen all the time. But on the chat screen, when you open that, you can see various types of chat. When you first play the game, you'll get all sorts of stuff in here. Again, you can put your cursor over it, hold your left mouse button down, drag it up. The first box here is notifications. So you'll get notifications of rewards, of completing missions, of various things. That has probably popped up on your screen somewhere already, and you can review them. Here is chat. Now, chat is where you're going to obviously chat or talk to people, people on your team, people in your fleet, people in a mission with you. Generally, when you're doing a TFO, task force operation, very few people actually chat in that unless they want to tell you that you're perhaps not performing to the ability they'd like you to, if you understand what I'm saying. But you also could type in there, guys, I need some help at this station or that station, and hopefully somebody will read it. But local chat is people around you within a certain distance. For instance, if you're on a starbase and there's 10 other players there, you type in local and they can see what you're saying, you can see what they're saying, and have a conversation there. This button is for your fleet, talk to your fleet, or whatever. Over here, there's a mic button, which allowed us to talk in game. If I push that button, obviously I am talking and people in the game can hear what I'm saying, just like you can hear me now. Again, if you're in a team or a fleet, you'll probably find you're going to be using your headset. You're going to be talking to your teammates via the mic, but you don't have to. You've got options over here of what you can do with this box. Set the channel, find a team, talk to your fleet, find friends, where are your friends. You can do various emotes, which is quite fun on the ground. Can't do them here, they're all grayed out. We will again look at that. Here you can change notification settings, which is over here, what you will actually see here. So you can turn things on and off. Admin announcements, games play announcements is on. It tells you if you've received an item, removed, whatever. If you untick it, you will actually not see that. See, all of the stuff in my notifications was received items for today. So that's in the chat box. Now, fly-in can be really annoying. Fly-in is when the text comes, moves across your screen, and sometimes right in the middle of what you're trying to do. So you can turn fly-ins on and off. Mission started is quite good because you're sitting, say, in a task force operation group, and the clock going down. When the mission actually starts, it'll pop up and tell you. And when it's finished, it'll pop up and tell you or flying on the actual screen. They're very useful to have. The other things I actually do not find too useful. There's a couple on. You could have, for instance, if you make a lot of friends in game, you can turn it on that it'll tell you right in front of you on the screen when your friends log on or off, as opposed to just telling you in this box on the left-hand side. Horses for courses, play with it. You can't break it. You can turn things on and off. If you don't know what you've done, you can't see anything, turn everything back on again and slowly turn them off one at a time until you find that annoying thing you didn't want to see. Other options down here. Now you've got chat settings. Now chat settings are here, and it's what shows in the chat box, and they're differently coloured. If you want to see all the chat, like from teammates or fleets or whatever, you turn it on and off. If you want to see what NPCs are saying, which is non-playing characters, you can turn that on, and various other options that will come in this screen. I generally find when playing I don't need all these things turned on. I want to know what my team is saying. I like to know when I've got a reward, because, you know, as you do, and my officers are saying, but I don't need to see what the NPCs are saying, because they say it in voice or it pops up in another box anyway, and I don't want to clutter this chat up, because I might want to scroll up and down it and try and find something really quickly. I don't really want to see emotes. I don't want the text telling me somebody's dancing or pointing or whatever. We'll look at emotes later. You can see them. You don't need to read them as well. So again, this is your choice. Turn them on and off. Choose your own colours. It's really up to you. And you can actually add various tabs. So this tab, we've got notifications and chat. You could add another tab if you want, which is chat 2. Now chat 2 is now showing all of this stuff. See, they're all ticked, and that's what it looks like when you have everything or most things ticked. You get a lot of stuff in here, which you may or may not want to see, but again, you can leave it open in case you want to see it, and so it doesn't annoy you, just have chat 1 on. And things like that. To get rid of it, you can just click on this button and it goes away. So on and off. And you can give it a name if you want to call it something like lots of chat or whatever, spam, it doesn't really matter. So there are things you can do. You can create your own channel by giving it a username so that all your mates can just talk to you, or a certain amount of people can talk to you in one particular box here or channel. So there are options. This is like options of chatting and talking and stuff you, once you've set it, you'll probably won't use again. For instance, you can change your mic volume, you can do all sorts of stuff. This one down the bottom for your fleet, you've got your voice configuration. So this is where you'll set up your PC, your headset, your speakers, whatever, to enable you to actually use your headset and talk live in game. So these icons at the bottom, there is this is you're going to use this all the time. And you can change the way it looks. I showed you before how you could rearrange them into wherever you want them to be. Some people have bridge crew over the top and then you can't really see much. You can hide this. All these options can appear in what's called your big personal tray anyway. Again, personal choices. But from left to right, here you can decide, this little menu here is how your ship's power operates. So you can have your power settings set to attack, so you're getting more power to weapons. You can have it set for defense, more power to shields, or speed so that you can go faster. All of these things slightly adjust where the energy and the power of your ship goes, so where your power drains will go as well. So if you find that you're in a fight and you're getting heavily beat up, you might want to move your power settings automatically to defense to help you out a bit there. Balanced means they're all set evenly down the middle, which is where we need to start off when you're just starting and you haven't really determined your gameplay style. This button here allows you to change the way this is laid out. You can have it as a graph, as bars going up and down. Lots and lots of options here. You can alter these power levels yourself and save them as a preset. For instance, you can say I want that to be more than that. Now you can't move them all to the top. As you can see, when you move them, they change because you've only got 65 points to spend. And when one goes up, other ones will come down. So yeah, and then you can lock them as so they can't be moved until you unlock them to save you accidentally putting something where it doesn't want to be. Here, for most people, all their gaming life, they'll just use these presets here. But if you get more involved, you'll want to adjust these so you can make quick changes during battles. This big circle here, this is your ship's health at 100%. The outside is your shields that are white, so they're at 100%. When you're in battle, obviously your shields will go up and down, your hull strength will go up and down. The important thing to watch for is if, say, your front shield disappears totally or goes red, you're going to want to throw some more energy at the front shield. You can do that by clicking the button here, and that will divert more energy to whichever shield you choose. Clicking in the middle sends all the energy equally to all the shields. Shortly we will look at some repair options here as well. This top icon here shows various things that are going on your ship, which we will see when we go into combat. This line can go all the way along, and it can tell you if you're using a bonus on certain weapons, what your bridge officers are doing, or if you've got, for instance, a boarding party on your ship. In battle, you probably don't have time to look at all this, but you'll get used to a visual of going, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So this next button, this next row here, allows your ship to go forwards. Stops, obviously. You can go backwards. Now you may think, why does a starship need to go backwards? Well, once you manage to ram your ship into Deep Space Nine and get stuck in it, then you'll be glad you can go backwards. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you may be fighting another ship directly in front of you and you want to face it and be firing straight on it all the time, and it slowly comes towards you. You want to back away from it. Things like that. This button here is your quantum slipstream drive. That's where you end up going from normal warp speed to very fast, and you'll start shooting across the screen. You turn it off by clicking on it again. No, I don't want to go to Alpha Quadrant, but if I did and I didn't want to use my transwarp and I was right on the edge of the map and I wanted to go from beta to alpha, which is over here, I can actually just fly right to the edge of the map and click on go to alpha, and it will actually take me to the next quadrant. So that's another way of moving from quadrant to quadrant, is to fly up to the border, fly across. Of course, you can't do that if there isn't a border. So you can't go from beta to delta. There's no border. So you can't fly here and go here, because actually the galaxy isn't flat, and delta could be 100 light years above you. So this is like flat Earth, flat universe, but it isn't. So you can only really travel across the border this way, or you may find a point that will allow you to travel, as we've said in an earlier tutorial. So the next section here is weapons. As I've said briefly in one of the early tutorials, If you right click on a weapon, it will turn it green, which makes it auto fire. Right click again turns it off. If they're turned off, in order to fire a weapon, you've actually got to click on that weapon. We can't fire it in open space. For a lot of action, leave them turned on auto, I find is the best, but you'll decide your own style of gameplay. If you like, you may not want to be firing torpedoes all the time. Maybe you will. So just for a lot of action, leave them on. Sometimes you get to somewhere in space, a space mission where you need to do something and you can't do that thing while you're in combat. So that means you need to turn your weapons off, auto fire, or you won't be able to complete that task, because clicking on the do this button, which could be transfer energy or something else, it won't work because you're in combat. So you need to take yourself out of combat. Sometimes you might need to take a few hits. Who knows? Here, if you've got a carrier, you will see icons once you've launched your craft, whether they be shuttles or fighter craft, and you can tell them whether to attack targets independently, to attack, to defend something. You make a target. So if you've got a friend and you click on their ship, your fighters will go and defend that ship. You can choose them to intercept, which means they'll defend your ship, and they will attack anything that attacks you, like torpedoes or anything like that, or other fighter craft. And this one is return to hangar. So if you want to recall all your fighter ships to your hangar, you can click that and they will come back. You may be pedantic about getting all your little fighter ships back on board before you warp out, but it doesn't matter. When you warp out, they'll end up back on board anyway. So maybe you'll use that, maybe you won't. Now this screen, these icons here are exactly the same as this screen at the top. When you launch your fighters or shuttles, they'll be listed here. They'll tell you how much strength or shields they have left, and if they disappear from here, they have been destroyed. You can only launch so many ships at one time, so if this is full, you can't launch anymore. As your ships get destroyed, you can launch it and they will come back into this box. Now this screen here, this is called, they call it the big personal tray. Basically, this is where everything you can do on your ship, or if you're on the ground, you'll have a smaller version of this. Everything you can do, from firing special weapons, calling in some support, calling in alien support that's not Starfleet, sending your shuttles out or fighters. In this particular craft, I can split my craft into two. If you've got Enterprise C, you can take the saucer section off, and you end up with two craft fighting on your side. One would be automatically piloted and controlled, of course. When you start off, this is going to be very, very empty, and you will slowly get these boxes full. Now, when you go into your character status and you choose your ship, here are all your weapons, which go in the weapons tray. All your other things like devices, consoles that do things, shuttles and fighter craft, all appear down here. So if it's up here, it'll be down here. If it's a special skill from one of your bridge officers, that can show here and also on the bridge officer screen here. As I say, you can actually hide this screen here because they all appear here, but sometimes these are extra special things and you want to just glance across and say, I want my special item to be used really quickly, and there it is. How you lay out this tray is up to you. Again, you can decide how many rows it has. If I have one, can't see everything, but you can use your little arrows to scroll through your menus. That's really slow, but it depends on how much real estate you want to see on your screen. If you go too high, they're empty, so there's no point showing them. You can also move it up and down. So if this is row 4, I can make that row 1 and put that on the top if I want to. However, only show enough screens that you need. So here, I don't need to know all these. These are my shields, power to shields. But I can actually do that from this big circle here by clicking on these buttons. So I do not need to see that. So I only need to see 5 rows. So if you click on the 5, let me just make sure. Yeah, if you click on the 5, you see the 5 you need to do, you actually need to be able to click on, because these things are not automatic. You will need to click on these icons. I'll go through the icons in a second. In order to change how this looks, you have to drag things around. Now, when you click on this top icon at the top right of this screen, you get a list of everything, all your weapons, all your skills, all your bridge officer consoles and things they can do. And in order to move them onto here, I'll just pull up another couple of boxes so we can do that. Down the bottom left is a little tick box that says lock tray. When you are happy with everything here, lock it, because if you're in the middle of battle and you accidentally click here and do that by mistake, it will delete that particular weapon or skill and it's gone, and then you have to try and find it in this list again later, which you will not have time to do in battle. So unlock it to do stuff and then immediately lock it when you're happy. So all of these items, as I said, are on your ship, or your bridge officer can use them on a console or as a skill. And they're all listed in this list. So what you do is you go through and decide what you need and what you don't need to show. I'll show you this in the next tutorial at the beginner's level, but just for here, for instance, when you click on an item, it tells you what it is, what it can do, what it's used for. Now, there are some things that you will not need in this tray. For instance, there are some things in here that are purely for PvP. If you never play player versus player, there is no point adding them here because you will not be able to use them in normal games play. So here we have different attack patterns, add different bonuses to things. We have our beams, which all show down here anyway, so you do not need them to show in your main tray because they already show. So there's no point doubling up. Same here with your attacks for your fighter craft. They're already in 2 places, already in this bar. They're already here. Absolutely no point doubling up on them. So choose things you want to show and ignore things you don't want to show. Now here is my tip for what I do. First off, to put something here, you left click and you drag it and you just drop it into a hole. Now You can duplicate up. It doesn't mean you've got two of them. You can only use one of them. But this is just to show you how it works. So you drag things along and drop them in. If you've got something in the tray you don't need, you can left click, drag it into space. Beg your pardon, right click, drag it into space. It disappears from your tray. It doesn't delete it, it's still here. So if you make a mistake or you double up, just drag it off and it'll disappear. Now, a little tip for you that I do, because sometimes you're in a fight and you don't really have time to remember or mouse over what everything does. So I divide my tray into two sides. The left side of my tray is attacking, the right side is defense. So if, for instance, all my shields are down and my hull is down, I'll click on some of these buttons, sometimes just go click, 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 and they'll all start healing me without me worrying too much, because they can all work at the same time. They just have cooldowns, but sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm in a lot of trouble here, so this is all my defensive stuff. This side is my attacking. I'm a little bit more aware of what I'm doing here. I may want to use a certain weapon. I may want to use a tractor beam to pull targets to me. It's got an asteroid behind it, so when you use it, the targets pull towards the asteroid, which then beats them up. It's pretty cool. So yeah, you go down here, decide if you want to use it. Like, for instance, this is engineering team. Engineering team heals things. So I'd put my engineering team on the right hand side. Over here, for instance, this is a weapon. This hurts the enemy, so I would put that on the left hand side. The other thing I do is special weapons that have a lot more power, I put near the top. Lesser weapons near the bottom, or the ones I use the most near the top. So when you're in a battle and you need to do something really powerful, you know you're looking around this top half of the screen. Once you have got your screen sorted out or your tray sorted out, everybody is different. Once you've done that, lock your tray. If you don't lock your tray, you do have the opportunity to accidentally take something out of here and you won't be able to use it until you put it back. The items that are here are determined by what you have on your ship. So for instance, here I have my fighters. If I take the fighters out of there, they will no longer show in this list. If I take this console out, which let's find an easy one, this console here, excuse me, launches some proton charges. If I take that out of there, it'll come out of here and out of here, so I won't be able to use it. So depending on what you've put on your starship, depends on obviously what you can do. Again, when we're looking at bridge officer skills here, this is determined by the stations and bridge officers you have. So for instance, Igchu here, Lieutenant Commander, is doing these three things we've told him to do from our choice of what we wanted him to do, which we saw in the last tutorial. They appear here. Tarula, for instance, again appears here. They can also appear here, as I said, but seeing them over here, it's relatively out of the way. It's a quick access to a more powerful or a bonus option. So that's your main tray, your big tray. I say again, don't forget to lock, because I've done it myself and you end up losing some stuff and thinking, I wish I could use that weapon right now. Or I wish I could get my security team or engineering team there right now. Now, all of these things do different things. Now, we'll look at defensive ones. For instance, engineering team heals some of your damage to your hull. This gives you a debuff or some bonus points to your sci-fi or whatever. These things generally heal either your shields or your hull, or will make your bridge officers more accessible. Once you've used, say, a skill like this, it has a cooldown period depending on your skill level or traits you have introduced. So you can't just keep clicking on that button. That could be once a minute or whatever. If you right-click on it in your character status screen, you can choose more details. Generally down here it'll have a cooldown period. It's in there somewhere, and that tells you how often you can use it per minute, per second, or whatever. And you can decrease those cooldown times with using skill traits and your captain's abilities. So that completes the bottom half, and you will use these. We will show you in the next tutorial, next time we get into a combat situation. If you happen to be on the ground, it's exactly the same. You'll have a tray for your own character, which will have all of the things that you can do in the tray. Again, depending on what you have added and what weapons you are using. So we'll look at that when we're on the ground next. So that's your main screen. It's all your menus. It's all your icons for firing, defending, and healing yourself. Auto fire, non-auto fire, shields, power distribution, how strong your hull is. If that gets down to below 20%, you're in desperate situation. Let's do a lot of clicking on the defensive side. Keep your eye on this as you're going. If they start to go down, don't wait until you're nearly dead. Try and learn what these are and use them as necessary. To like if your hull's down, use an option that's going to repair your hull or your shields or as necessary. And over here, your power balances, again, you probably leave them mainly on balanced, at least to start off with. And then depending on your style of play, for instance, if you're running attack ships, escorts, you will probably have them balanced more towards attacking. If you are running a big cruiser, you're standing back, you're using broadsides, or you're in a science vessel and you're healing other ships, you're probably going to be using defense. Again, if you're attack ship, you particularly some of them are very fast, you may want to use speed as your weapon so that enemy ships can't target you or hit you. And some of the fighters are really fast, and once you use them and you're zooming around, you'll have a lot of fun. Not my style of gameplay. I'm a little bit more leisurely, but some people are gung-ho and they just love to zip in and out and blast things, and that's fine too. So that's that screen. So that's your menus covered. Thank you for watching part 2 of the menu tutorial. The next tutorial will be about going to Earth Space Dock. We'll have a look around, we'll accept our first mission, and we will get our first ship. So thank you very much. Please subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. I'm a noob. I need the figures. It's all good fun. Enjoy your day, and take care.